This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, do not forget to send us your PR Podcast plug. This is the easiest way to promote yourself. And I joke that we're PR people and great at promoting our clients and horrible at promoting ourselves. I am. Even though I do these silly TikTok videos and everything else, I'm still lousy at promoting myself. So the PR Podcast plug is built to solve that problem because as PR people, we're problem solvers, right? We want to hear about something cool that you've done. We want to hear about your blog. We want to hear about your newsletter. We want to hear about an award. We want to hear about your silly TikTok channel. We want to hear about whatever you got that is outside of your 9 to 5. Let us know something cool that you've done lately. Send it to us at either at the PR Podcast or at Jody Fisher on any of the socials, or you can send me an email, jody@jodyfisherpr.com. But send us something cool that we can shout you out about give you some love at the top of an upcoming episode. Now on with our show for today. Boy, we got a guest that I'm really excited about. Stacey Wallenstein is a New York-based mom of 3 and the woman behind the parenting, travel, and lifestyle blog, The Mint Chip Mama, which is about to celebrate its 10-year anniversary. Now, we're going to give her some applause for that. Stacey and her family just got back from Iceland, and she's very excited, she says, and I am too, for the weather to change so she can start going to the beach again. Stacey, there's so much more about you, but welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
This is going to be fun. You and I have been friends for a bunch of years, and
Yes.
friends with your husband too, who has been a guest on the PR Podcast. We're not going to say who it is. We'll let people go back and see if they can figure it out. But he's been on the show too. Anyway, hey, so I want to know, first of all, where did the Mint Chip Mama come from?
So I feel like there should be like a story where I was thinking and working and thising and thating. But the truth of the matter is, fun fact, every year on my birthday, I have had a mint chip ice cream cake from Baskin Robbins. I'm very specific, with the chocolate cake on the bottom and the crunchies in the middle. This must be there on my birthday every year on May 3rd, or I am not a happy camper. So when I started thinking about what to name the blog, it kind of just came to me and I was like, that's great. I love mint chip ice cream. It's a parenting blog. And I kind of just ran with it. And it's funny because it is such a conversation starter because mint chip is one of those things that people either love, it's their favorite ice cream, or they hate it. They can't have it. It's like the cilantro of ice cream.
We cannot, no. We cannot trust people who don't like mint chip ice cream. Just
I
stop it right
agree.
there.
I agree. But sometimes they like sneak in and it's people you've known for years and you're like, this was not revealed to me immediately upon meeting you, and now I'm in too deep in this relationship. But yes. So it's actually very funny how it is a channel not about ice cream, but it also brings all kinds of fun things up about being on brand. I always love if I go to an event and they're serving mint chip ice cream. It's always a fun picture to take. So it's really just kind of just a fun thing to have it be.
That's so great. All right, we got the story behind the name.
Yeah.
Now tell us about you and what you do. You have a blog. Do you consider yourself an influencer, or what is your business built around?
So I introduced myself as a blogger and a content creator. I do not particularly like the word influencer because I feel like it's kind of trendy and fake, which it's not. But I feel that I approach my work, which I do consider a full-time job, as content creation for clients. I approach each of my, clients as a full-time client, like I would have in the 20 years plus I worked in corporate America, doing marketing, doing customer service, doing all of these things. Not to say that an influencer doesn't do that, but I like to say that I, create a story. I feel, obviously always in marketing, it's always about the story. And I feel very strongly that I want to tell the story of my brands, my partnerships. And I also want to find like that little hidden gem and secret that maybe you wouldn't know. So maybe you go to the store all the time, but you didn't know that, there's a hidden secret or story behind the owner or the store or where it was. So I love to kind of find those things out. And I just think that's fun.
So you create your own content, like you said, you have website, blog, social of your own, but then you
Mhm.
also work for clients on
Yes.
their brands as well, right? So
Yes.
so maybe we could parse it out. Talk
Yep.
about maybe first how you manage your own content and your own
Sure.
brand.
So the way that I do my own content on my own brand is it started with the blog. And like I said, I can't believe it's almost 10 years. And I just started writing. So I'll take you back. I'll take you back to the beginning. When I was pregnant in 2009, we were living in Manhattan, and there was this amazing world of pregnant women events. This was like a freshman year of college for pregnant women where everyone was out and about and wanting to meet and make friends. And it was just like a renaissance, if you will. And so I met all these wonderful people. I made all these great connections, and it was Manhattan. So it's like, the best of the best of the best. And I fell in with a bunch of different people that were writers, and I started writing for some of them in their different outlets. And then I had my first baby, and then we were still in Manhattan. And then when I was pregnant with my second, I was at an event with a friend of mine. I'm an only child. She's an only child. And we had this whole conversation about how I'm 8.5 months pregnant as an only child, about to have two kids. And it was like this weird mind thing where I was like, how am I going to do this? I don't understand the dynamics of siblings. And I came home and I spoke to my husband, a previous guest on your podcast. And I said this to him, and he was like, you should write something about this. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not a writer. And I wrote something about how an only child can be the mom of, siblings. And I submitted it to the Huffington Post, and it was accepted. And that was my first writing gig, which was very exciting. And I started writing for them for a few years, mostly like thought pieces and things about like kids in the city and leaving the city and all that stuff. And then when we moved out here, I really was looking for a way to do these like thought provoking pieces, but also the products and the events and the fun. And I was like, I think I'm just going to launch my own thing. And so while one kid was at camp and one kid was upstairs napping, there became the Midship Mama. Um, and it's really just been a fun way to talk about and highlight all the things going on in our life and what we love. I've written about the best playgrounds on Long Island, and this is because I'm a mom looking for playgrounds on Long Island. So everything comes from like a very personal, organic, authentic piece, which will segue into all the content that I create. I really do try to make it authentic and organic. I think with this term of influencer and kind of how it almost went over the hill, where it was everyone was into influencers, and now it's kind of like, do you believe influencers? Because now they're getting paid to say this is the best widget you could find.
The term
I,
definitely jumped the shark, right?
I agree with you completely, which is
Yeah,
one of the
right,
reasons why I don't love it.
right. It has a
And
connotation.
I think it does, but a lot of
I
people
think it
feel
does
like
too. Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of people that want to jump into this world feel like if they call themselves that, it's a very self-important title, right? But anyway, I think that people at this point, now that they've known it, now that it's jumped the shark, it's very evident what is, being pushed. And so getting back to organic and authentic, like I don't have a dog. I don't ever talk about a dog. If I all of a sudden talk about dog food you should buy, that looks weird. So I feel it's really important to stay on brand. I bill myself as a parenting, lifestyle, travel, beauty blogger, content creator, because those are the things in my life, and food. I mean, these are the 5 things that run my day. So that's what I like to talk about. So kind of during the pandemic, I feel like the social media channels really took off, and I started really investing my time and effort into Instagram, and really built my channel. And that's where I found the fun with the short form content, which I create both for myself and for clients. And that's kind of where it all comes together. So it's like now, what I try to do is create the social media content first, then tag it back into a blog post and launch the blog post tagging back to social media. So there's many different arms and directions going in all different ways to each piece of content I put out. So I do that for myself. I do that for my clients. Yeah, and that's kind of how it works.
And so, I've worked with influencers,
Mhm.
different clients, essentially trying to get that third party endorsement and that focused targeted audience,
Mhm.
connection with a particular client, which you do too.
Mhm.
Um, what are ways that you appreciate when people come to you as the mint chip mama and say, would you like to feature our thing on your assuming there's a connection, assuming it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Let's go past that part.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you like people to come to you and say, we'd like you to feature us on your channel, we'd like you to come review our thing or whatever? How does that interaction happen best in your mind?
So it's funny because I could give you the best and the worst. I don't like when someone says, oh my gosh, I love your channel. Could you do content for us? And then I talk about it and they go, great. So what we were actually thinking was the exact opposite. And I'm like, okay. If you go on my Instagram, every single video, even though they're all different, is completely the same. I do short videos. I normally keep them at 15 seconds. The last two I did were a little longer just because they warranted that. But I try to keep within 15 seconds because I want it to be the length of a story on Instagram. There's thought behind that. And they're all very fun, upbeat music. I mean, trending audio, of course, but happy, fun things. Like I'm not looking out in the ocean where like, music, the woman's voice is sitting behind me talking about childhood. I'm not doing voiceovers. I'm a mom that today really is busy. So on the line, I like to drink this drink. That's not me. So I love when clients come to me and say, we see what you're about, do it for us. Because that means they actually know what they know what I'm talking about and want me to do what I do. I had a client, I have so many stories of clients that went south. This one client said, we absolutely love what you do. We want you to do something for us. I spent hours, I did it, I delivered it in the same exact style of hundreds of my videos. And they go, great, but could you do it again with a voiceover? And I said, that's not what I do. When I asked you what you want, you told me do what you do. So I did what I did, but you want what you want, not what I do. And I feel like what frustrates me about that is, again, if you go to my channel, it is 100% consistent, whether I'm dancing around in a botanic garden or I'm on my swing set talking about something, or if I'm selling something, they're all the same. They're all united in that fun, happy, uplifted 15-second vibe. So
the ironic thing with that is that you'd never have that conversation with a reporter. You'd never go to a media outlet, whether it's a newspaper or radio station, and say, oh, well, could you do it the way your competitor does it? Or could you do it in the style of this other show does it? Like you'd never have that conversation with them. Why would you have it with someone like you?
So that's a great question, because I think that since this is an emerging market that doesn't know what to call itself, digital creator, content creator, all of these different things, influencer, I think that we're still in this kind of gray area where people from all different points and companies and industries don't really know what to think of this. I think that it is definitely an emerging market, an emerging trend, but also it's here to stay, because when you think of it, I'm a digital marketing agency, I'm a PR agency, I'm a full-scale video content creation agency. I wear so many different hats, and yet people say, we want to trade you a free bottle of vitamins for you to do, hours upon hours upon hours of work. And I think that, a lot of us that do this do it on our own out of our houses. And I think that because it's an entrepreneurial job where you work from home, people don't respect it. And because of that, they either don't value you or your time, or make snide comments, or just expect you to do whatever they want because they think they have all the power or in the upper hand, maybe. And it's very frustrating because I approach this as a job. This is my job. I have a digital marketing agency, and I think that people don't get that sometimes.
So in terms of agreements that business agreements that you strike with clients, and again, this is in the context of not creating for them, but featuring them on your platform. Is it appropriate? Is every content creator the same in that it's a combination of monetary compensation and some kind of product gifting, like here's the thing we want you to promote, so here we're going to give it to you so you can experience it and you can obviously talk about it, but then they also compensate you, they write you a check? Is that how it works?
So I think tying this back to what we were just talking about, it is different for everyone, which is why, since this is an emerging field, there's also no, like, I don't want to say regulations because that sounds like official and legal, but like, look, I might not care about your bottle of vitamins, but this person right here might really want those vitamins. So she might take your in-kind gifted vitamins and make you a beautiful reel that takes her 3 hours to do because that has value to her. To me, I don't care about your vitamins, but maybe I care about your event tickets to event X, right? So I think that the answer is different. And it's funny because I'm in all these networking groups and we all met up at this event a couple weeks ago. And then in our group, we were all talking about how we each got different answers from every company about what they want to do for us to work for them, which is funny because the companies don't realize we all talk. So there was this one company that offered to pay some people, didn't offer to pay some people, offered to send some people product, offered people to send free product if you paid for shipping. And we were all like, this is so funny. We all got different answers from the same company. So, but some people were really happy to make tremendous amounts of content for a free product, and some people want to get paid. And I think because that line in the sand is so different for everyone based on your family's need and your interests, it makes it kind of all over the place and almost perpetuates the confusion amongst it all. Um,
Mhm.
and I think that has to become a personal decision you make. So, for example, if I want to go see a show and the company offers me tickets, that's awesome. I am happy to have this experience because, especially in New York, there are so many shows that are super expensive that if there's a Broadway show I'm dying to see and you invite me to come with a guest, that's awesome. I'll make you some nice content. Now, it might not be a reel that takes me hours, but I'm happy to provide you content in exchange for that. Um, but like, for the most part, I do want to be compensated for my time and my effort and my creation services. And I think it's really hard sometimes when you sit and actually try to figure, I mean, like with anything, I'm sure with you, with any industry where you're an entrepreneur, right? There's a certain element of saying, I'm going to make up the prices that make me feel like I'm getting compensated fairly for the effort I'm putting into the work, right? Every industry, right? As if you own your own company, that's what happens. So then it's really hard to stick to that, right? Because if you say, I want to charge you $500 for this, and they say, well, I'll pay you 300. The question is it worth discounting your time because you want the 300 bucks? Or do you need to stand your ground and say, pay me what I'm asking or goodbye? And I think that, everyone has a different time in their life where that answer might be different, but it's really hard sometimes to say no to less because you know how much work it requires. And I feel that, and I feel like this is also the tale of oldest time. When I do discount myself and charge people less, they always become the biggest pains, and they're the ones that demand the most of my time, right? And
Always,
right,
always,
right.
always, always.
And I feel like there's always a token one that gets through the cracks once a year, and then I go, fool me once. And then a year
Yep.
later, when I'm worn down and I'm like, well, I could really use a couple $100, even though I'm going to regret this, I'm like, damn it, it happened again. Um, but it's hard to walk away, right? Because especially as an entrepreneur, you don't know where your next check is coming. And sometimes a little bit of that check might be better than the whole check because you need to pay your mortgage. So,
So it's a great segue into a conversation about how the interaction should go
okay,
between someone like you and someone who wants to be featured, right?
sure.
What kind of questions should someone be asking of you in terms of, coming to this arrangement? What types of questions should they be asking? What types of information are you providing to them to demonstrate the value of what they will get? How does that conversation go?
Sure. So there's a couple different ways that a company or a brand matches up with an influence marketing person, content creator. So there are brands that reach out to me directly. They find me one way or another. There are platforms that are like third parties where it's like a matchmaker. And then there are brands where I say, this is something that I use in my day-to-day life. I would love to work with you. This is what I can offer
Mhm.
you. So I have a media kit with, highlights of different posts
Right.
I've done and content and prices. And however they come to me, my answer is usually, I would love to send you my media kit and discuss, your budget and deliverables, which I believe says to them, I request that you pay me for my time and effort. And I would like to know what you would like me to do for you. So again, because this is somewhat of a newer field, sometimes they say, well, I don't know, what do you think? So what I like to do for any of these clients, what I find is like a nice three-prong approach. I love to create an upbeat 15-second reel, which again, same style as all the other reels that I do. And then I do an Instagram story and a Facebook post. And I like to do this three-prong approach because, and I always will tag them as a collaborator. So when they accept, it then comes up on their page as well. So it's creating content for them on my channel and for them on their channel. Same content, but going up at the same time. And then I like to do the Instagram story because you can use stickers to tag them. And you can also use a link to drive traffic either to their website or their whatever they want, their product page. And then I also like to use Facebook, even though it's for old people and having a comeback. Yes,
I
because
think
I'm
resurgence.
old
No, total
people,
resurgence.
right? But
Yeah,
also, I always joke that even though a 13-year-old might think it's for old people, the people that I'm trying to sell my widget to are the old people with the
it's
American
about where your
Express.
audience is, right? Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Go.
So I like to do the Facebook post as well because I like that you can put up a link there. You can put up, obviously, you could drive traffic to whatever. And also it's kind of just another medium, right? So it's another place to get the word out and to spread the word. And I think also, there are different audiences on each of the platforms. And so I like to do that, multi-prong approach. And I want to say I am starting to reinvest my time and effort into LinkedIn, which everyone talks about. And I'm sure you have strong feelings about LinkedIn. And in the back of my mind, I always remember that Pinterest, our old
Mhm.
friend Pinterest, is the biggest traffic driver to blogs. And no matter what I listen to, this is what everyone says. And I always think about this, and then I don't do it. And then I think about the fact that I should do it. But I will say, when I do a new blog post, I do post it on Pinterest because I always think about that. It's like a nagging thing in the back of my head. And I will add, I don't know if we necessarily discussed this, but when it comes to this whole world of content creation and blogging, your blog is the only thing you own. So when Meta had an outage a couple weeks ago and the world was fluttering, all I heard was all of the seminars I take where they say your blog is your own, your blog is the only thing you own. So all this time you invest into these social networks, you should be investing into your blog instead. And again, like Pinterest, I go, oh, I should do that. And then I go make a reel. Because
So
you know
what are
what?
some
Yeah.
so what are some best practices for working with someone like you?
Okay.
What are some great things that you love clients bring to you?
Mhm.
And what are some of the things that drive you crazy?
So I think that I always say this to my kids. I'm not a mind reader. Nobody's a mind reader. So I like a client that is straightforward and efficient and says to me, I want you to sell my widget. This is a widget I've had for 10 years. Now I have a new color of my widget. These are the things I want you to highlight. It's out May 1st. Thank you. It's sold here. Thank you. This gives me a very clear, concise direction of what I'm doing, what I'm selling, what's new about it, why it's great, how to get it, where to get it, when to get it. I love stuff like that. Um, I'm also okay with that said. If someone comes to me and says, I don't exactly know what I want you to do, but I want you to come because we just opened up 20 minutes away from you. And I think that your readers will be really interested in our store. I'm totally down to just go and take creative control and, shoot whatever I think is relevant and make them a great piece of content. I think both of them are really helpful. I just appreciate the clear direction. So if a client comes to me and says, I'm not really sure what you do, but I like what you do because I've looked and I want you to do it for me. And I say, okay, so full creative control. And they go, full creative control. And I go, great, let's do it. That's my favorite. But I also really do appreciate when someone says, we want you to highlight all of these things because that just makes me an outline of where to begin.
Good. Yeah. Do
Mhm.
you ever share the content you create when you're hired to do something? Do
Mhm.
you ever share the content you create before you post it?
Yeah. So again, going back to full creative control, it takes a lot to make these pieces and it takes a lot to edit these pieces because, for
Yeah.
example, if you are making a draft in Instagram and you have captions or titles, very often it like distorts it if you save it and go back. So every time you change something, you have to, it's not just like a quick fix, it's like a long fix. So I don't mind. I shouldn't say I don't mind. I don't love when people want to approve it first because of a couple different reasons. Um, Number one, I prefer to do all of this on the onset. I prefer them to give me clear, concise directions so I can produce for them exactly what they want. Obviously, no one's a mind reader. So if they want, me in a blue shirt and I'm in a green shirt and they don't tell me that, it's kind of, whatever. But also, I think it just like it holds up the whole process. So if it's something that I'm creating and putting it on my channel versus like user generated content UGC, which is something for their channel that's not going on my channel, that's a little bit different. But if you're a good influencer, content creator, digital marketer, most chances are you have a content calendar, which means that you have slotted out what you're posting every day. So if you're submitting something and then waiting for approval, that messes with your calendar. And this is something that people don't really get. So like if I have slated that on Tuesday, I'm going to post about the mug I'm doing a video about, and then I have to submit by Friday and I don't hear back and it's Wednesday, it means that I didn't post something on Tuesday I wanted to. I'm waiting, I'm this. And then if I don't hear back, and very often these third-party platforms have that, because you have to submit to them and then the client has to approve it and then they have to tell you it's approved and yada, yada, yada. So my favorite types of clients are like, we believe you, we trust you, we see from your portfolio exactly what you're doing, go for it. And then they pay me quickly. Those are my favorite. I had a unicorn like this a few months ago and it was wonderful. She said, we see what you do, you're great, go for it. And then within 24 hours I was paid. I almost fell over.
Okay, but now let's do the ROI there. Did
Okay.
the client clearly was happy? What was the actual ROI that they got? Did they see an increase in their traffic? Did they sell more of their widgets? Did they get the result that they were looking for?
So that's a great question. And I feel that when somebody asks me that, when they're trying to pitch me or I'm pitching them, my answer is I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him buy your widget. So I say, I can make like that. I say, I can make you the most fantastic content. I could research those hashtags. I could tag every relevant person on earth. I can find the most trending audio with only, 100 videos made of it. I can give you this perfect, perfect piece of content. And once I hit share, it could sink or swim.
Yeah, it's out of
And it's out of my hands, and it frustrates me when they want me to predict to them how the content's going to go. And look, like I said, if you go to my Instagram right now, everything's there. You could see how many views each of them get. Some of my reels get 10,000 views, some of them get 1,000 views, some of them get 60,000 views, and I have done the same exact thing for each one. Sometimes you just hit, sometimes you think maybe the audio is just writing it. Sometimes there's a buzzword that comes up on Google. There's no way to know. And I hate to say that because I don't want to say that I can't predict the future, but I can't predict the future.
well,
And
but it's the same thing that I do with PR and
yes,
earned media, right? We
yes.
can get you the terrific article in the newspaper. It's not built for sales.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, from PR, it's like I could pitch and pitch and pitch and pitch about your widget until I'm blue in the face. But if there's no demand to talk about widgets right now, I can't get you on the cover of, the New York Times. I'm sorry, dude. But and I think that's a challenge. And I think also, that sometimes it doesn't take 24 hours to get you on the cover of the paper, right? Like it's a slow build. And the reason, again, that I said I really like to do that three-prong approach is because once I create the reel or the static images or the carousel, that lives on your social media channel for as long as you want to keep it there. The stories, are kind of like right in front of you at the moment, and you can share that piece of content whenever it's relevant or as often as you would like to bring eyes back to that. I also feel very strongly that anytime you post something in feed, you should share it as a story with call to actions, which would be either a link or, a sticker with the account, because I feel like it just keeps the wheel going in more directions. And then again, with the Facebook, I think that it's nice to have it live there. And I realize I haven't talked about TikTok. You mentioned TikTok at the beginning. TikTok is it has a big question mark on its head for me, and a lot of the other content creators I talk to, we kind of have this like, is it going to stay? Is it not? I truthfully don't believe it's going anywhere. I believe if somewhere it's going to be shut down, someone's going to buy it and it's going to go under the conglomerate of something else. I think it's so big that it can't go away, and yet I have not found inside of me the energy to invest in it, in my content, in myself. I have a TikTok channel where I repurpose my Instagram videos. I have a whole folder in my phone of like videos to put up there. And like you said, when one day when I have, the 25th hour in my 8th day, I'm going to sit and I'm going to do that. Um, but again, I'm trying to post my videos on LinkedIn because, again, I'm thinking LinkedIn is going to be more valuable. And at least where my head is at in that space is, as people understand that this influencer marketing is becoming a thing. And I use the term influencer marketing, not influencer, because I think that influencer marketing is a term that has a little more like gravitas, kind of, because it's a buzzword that maybe people are hearing in their boardrooms because some youngster on the team brings it up. And it's like, the owner of the company could be like, what's influencer marketing? And it could be, well, it's where we hire a content creator. That's how I make the story up in my head of these make-believe conversations go. And so I do think that this world in this industry is not going anywhere. I think just kind of the terms and conditions will become a little bit more delineated, maybe. But LinkedIn is where I'm putting my time and effort, because I feel that as these people are in their board meetings and as these people live on the LinkedIn space as somewhat of a social business platform, if they come across me there, they see this more as a business and a service I could provide for them than just, silly dancing videos where I'm, talking about granola bars or something like that.
Well, Stacey, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much
Okay.
for joining us today.
Yes,
Really
my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Really appreciate all these insights. We could go for another hour. I'm sure
Yes.
maybe we'll have you back.
Ooh.
But we're going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our
Okay.
podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor studio,
I
ask
love
our
it.
guests a series of rapid fire question meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. I'm sure we'll get that out of you. Stacey Wallenstein, let's begin. Rapid fire question number one. What is your favorite news source?
Ross Wallenstein of Wall to Wall Communications.
Ah, there you go. There you go. Rapid fire. We're just gonna run right past that, and we're gonna drop that little and run right past it. Rapid fire question number two. What is your favorite social media platform?
I think Instagram.
Is
Do
there
you
a
want me to
reason?
elaborate, or is it just short?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, elaborate.
So I actually
This is
like
your realm.
So I actually like Instagram because I tend to follow people I don't know on Instagram, which I find more interesting, because I think on Facebook, because it's connected more to my personal life, I follow more people that I know, which leads to the whole FOMO, blah, blah, blah. Why did I go on this? I feel bad about myself now. Whereas Instagram, I'm like, look how nice Greece is right now. I don't know these people, but that drink looks delicious. I feel like Instagram is a fun escape and Facebook is like down the street.
That's a good analogy. Rapid fire question number three: coffee or alcohol? How does the
Yes,
mint chip mama roll?
yes, yes. The mint chip mama actually really enjoys when she makes a mint chip cocktail using mint infused vodka. Yes,
Ooh.
yes, yes. And I'm a big coffee fan. We have a big pot of coffee that we drink from all day long.
Excellent. Rapid fire question number four. What's your favorite on the run food?
Probably a high protein granola bar. And I'm always out looking for the highest protein I could find.
All right. Rapid fire question number five. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
Taller.
You're not short. What are you talking about?
I'm not short compared to a 7-year-old. No. I mean, truly, what I see is, as an entrepreneur, as somebody that, has a flexible schedule and can run my own day in my own life, I don't want to do anything after this. I want this to segue into traveling and having us be retired, both of us on our laptops on a yacht somewhere in the Mediterranean Sea. Like, this is awesome. I think the pandemic has has had so many negative things and so many positive things, like this whole opening up of a world that you can work out of your house and never put on pants and like meet these amazing people from all over the place. And like you can work from anywhere, right? We were just in Iceland, which we didn't even talk about. And you know,
Well,
we were
we get
both
there, right?
working while right, and we were both working while we were there, and we were in freaking Iceland. You know, it's like it's so why not? I don't want to stop. Getting taller might be nice. I don't hold too much belief in that, but
All right, all right. We'll leave it there then. Thanks again, Stacey, so much
yes,
again.
my
Had a
pleasure.
great time here today. Please let people know. I mean, we've said it a million times,
Yeah.
but say it again. Let people know
Okay.
how they can find you online.
Awesome. So my blog is themintchipmama.com, and mama is MAMA, and then across all social media platforms at The Mint Chip Mama. There you go.
Easy to find. Thank you again, Stacey. And thank you everyone for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the TikToks at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Apple. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.